Hello, John Yin Yang Gemini. I'm going to briefly, just sort of overview, describe the 8 energies from Taijiquan. Taijiquan is basically 8 energies, 5 methods of stepping. Stepping's easy. Advance, retreat, forward, back, left, right, center. And it's the combination of the 8 energies with those 5 methods of stepping that creates all of Taiji in the different levels, the Liang Yi and the Seijan and all that other stuff. So if, again, as we've kind of talked about before, if someone's not able to talk about this in a kind of at least fundamental way, I mean, it's the basics of Tai Chi. You know, it's trying to, if you're going to like someone to learn how to run, and they don't really know anything about the knee, something like that. I mean, or that, oh, you should probably wear shoes. It's the very basic fundamental thing that they need to have in order to understand it. So this is just a quick kind of overview of those 8 energies, 8 Jing, that are needed for it to be Taiji. So if you have someone, oh, I made up my own Taiji, you're like, okay, well, where does like Peng work in this? And they're like, who? No good. So as we started with Peng, a lot of the times, I mean, I kind of wrote out like Peng, you see that in English, which would be ward off. Ward off, we're talking about keeping the center safe. Center as we move on an axis with the whole torso and the whole body. Not just the sort of line around our outside. It almost has a sphere, has a expanding kind of balloon ball feel to it. Yang style, you'll see this for like grass bird's tail. This will almost be considered just blatantly Peng. Peng to me is the keystone Jing. I was told by my teacher and his teachers and other things we've read that if you don't understand Peng, you're not going to understand the rest of them. Conversely, if you understand Peng, that will help you understand the rest of them as well. I think Yang Chen Fu described it as almost a boat on the water. So if that, your boat, water, that push comes in, it immediately reacts, keeps its center safe. Peng, keystone energy. I like to say too when I'm teaching Taiji, as you're using your E, your intent, when you're playing your routines, you play your routine, maybe sometimes you're like, I'm not really sure what I should be doing right now. If I should be thinking, oh, is someone throwing a punch at me? Do I need to be thinking this as a takedown? And I say, when in doubt, Peng. When in doubt, you're not entirely sure what you want to do, what you should be doing, Peng, ward off. Next one, I call the poster child for Taiji, which would be Lu. Sometimes I've also seen it as like Li. This is rollback. Meaning by rollback, spelling it right might help. What I mean by rollback is yield and redirect. So again, taking Yang style, the grass bird's tail from Yang style, which just blatantly uses this. We have Peng, we come over, here's rollback, here's Li, or Lu. So I have this pulling in, I have this pushing to the side, the force is coming in, I yield and redirect. This is like quintessential Taiji in terms of martial application. Yield, redirect. Yield, redirect. Don't fight force with force. So it has more of the sort of gathering. Peng can expand, Lu kind of gathers with that too. And then going into the next thing. So those two, very, very important. All of them are, but these, to me at least, this is just my perspective of it. Those are kind of the most important to start kind of getting your head around and wrapping around. So we have ward off, keeping the center safe, expand, that sort of sphere, ball, feel energy to it. Lu, roll back, yield, and redirect. Next one is Ji. And this is pressing or squeezing. This is the foundation for all the locks and chinna. So from, again, we have Li, we come in, squeeze. We have one thing going back, one thing going forward. You know, we have the lock, one thing going back, one thing coming forward. Boom, boom, boom. The chin off, someone's hand's on here. I press my hand and then do whatever I'm going to do from that. So pressing, squeezing, one going forward, one going backwards, and locking. This is foundation for the locking. Next one we have push, and there's this kind of a weird thing, I think, with maybe sometimes with translations, because we say push hands, but it's called tuisho, but this is on. On. And this is push. And again, if we take it from yang style, with on, we're here, we come out, and we set up, we kind of open up them, come back, gather, and push out. And it's not like, man, punk, man, what's that? That kind of punk shoving kind of thing. That's not a push. That's almost a strike or the shove. On in this instance would almost be a longer push. Think about it like you're pushing a car. Tui would almost be, you know, you see in Chen style, that kind of small, as you step up into that crouching T stance, that smaller push, maybe a little more Fa Jing sort of thing with it. So that would be push. In this case, we're talking about on as the basic of the sort of 8 Jing for that. Now, we're going to go on. These are the cardinal ones. Those are the main sort of cardinal Jing in the 8. Peng Li Ji An. These are the 4 big main ones for that. So this would be like, you know, north, south, east, west. We get a northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest, everything. Those are the next 4. I'm actually going to erase this because I'm kind of having limited space at the moment. So Peng, Lu, Ji, An, ward off, roll back, press, squeeze, push. Next we have Kite. Okay, I've heard as well. And that means pull down. Actually fairly self-explanatory. You know, pull down. Pull down for coming up. You have to have down in order to have up and vice versa. But pull down. A lot of times you can use that with lu. You come in, pull down. You know, they're coming in, maybe they're coming in a big rush. When you come back, you want to pull down. When you come forward, you want to lift up. So as you're yielding, you can pull down. In sort of American push hands, you have to be careful you don't double grab. We pretty much only want maybe one grab and then, you know, not quite a mantis, full mantis sort of thing, but maybe just one to kind of wrap. Usually you might even see just kind of something like this. Chinese push hands from my research has been a little bit different. When I judge in America, you know, you don't want the double grab, so if you pull down, you're not cranking on there like that. Do swai jiao, you get the jacket or something, grab. And you can still pull down from that too. But fairly self-explanatory. This next one, le. And again, I just want a general apology if I'm mutilating how these are said. I know about the tones and things like that, and I apologize if I'm really, really bad at the pronunciations. And I'm using the best I can in terms of the lettering as well. Le would be split. This is where, like I said, the striking comes in. So it's not just, you know, if someone's doing a push on you and you can open them, splitting their force out, or splitting their force like up and down, but it's also like striking. So punching, all that stuff would all be considered splitting. Part of it is because you have one coming forward. If you have something coming forward, something has to be going back. Even if you're kind of doing like those double punch kind of things, there's still energy going back as well. But also, with the Fa Jing, there's still something being sent down for like the rooting in with it as well. So there's a splitting with the energy going down and going out. Even again, like the double punch, they're still, if you come forward into that front foot and sink into that, or you have the kind of shingi where you have that war marking and you step back and, sorry, I bumped the thing, and come back with it too, so it comes down and comes out, so splits. This would be where we're getting striking, and also opening up. Yang style really likes to open stuff up with that, and this can be seen as being part of that. Zhu. I think that's kind of how it's Americanized as elbow. Now, we can see this in a couple ways, not only in terms of elbow strike, Chen style with it, but also you see a lot with the Chen style push hands and stuff too, but I've seen Yang done, and I've done it myself, mostly being Yang, but I've seen it too. You get that, someone's kind of maybe locked on here, you can use that elbow to clear away. So it's not just strike, but also basically using it and then combine it with like ji. You can like press and lock and move something over with that too. Or you set it on and you can push through as well. As a side note, Grandmaster Huiyu, my teacher's teacher, and technically my teacher's teacher's teacher, would always say, if you have one or two energies, okay, if you make three, that makes it better. So okay, maybe if we play pung here for grass bird's tail, for instance, yeah, we have pung, but maybe there's a little bit of ji in there too, because there's a little bit of a squeeze. And then maybe you can put on if you come in, you have that open up and you can maybe push through as well. Keep this going and maybe it becomes a little bit of lu in with it too. So the more energies you can kind of stack up and use together, the better the technique. Last one, I'm going to take a minute to talk about. How? Now, it means shoulder. Again, those of you familiar with Yang style, we have raise hands, draw down, shoulder stroke into white crane. So it means technically shoulder. So you come in, get that little bump and push through. If you're doing part wild horse's mane, there's that shouldering aspect as you're coming through, probably guiding the person over your leg. Swai Jiao it's actually called bumping, which is kind of one of the other things with it. That's a G. That looks suspiciously like part wild horse's mane. But it also has a connotation of being whole body. Now, internals are naturally a whole body exercise. Anyway, you don't want to not be coordinated whole body or anything of those, anything else like that. But it's still, if you've seen, I know in our Cheng style Bagua has a part where I can't do it here. I don't have the freedom with the camera, but it's almost sort of like you bend over. And it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. I mean, why are we doing that if we're internals and we're supposed to be a certain way? Because it's basically talking about like a hip throw. So if you step in and that hip bumps in, this would be kao, whole body. And you're coming in and maybe you kobu, lock your foot around their leg and you're using your shin and your knee to kind of press it. Yeah, that's using press. Maybe you're pushing, but that would also be considered with Kao Jing. So that's a very brief, I say very brief, and we're moving on to 15 minutes here shortly. Very brief outline of the 8 energies of Taijiquan. So you have the 5 stepping, which is forward, back, left, right, center, or advanced retreat, left, right, center. And I'll get into center because sometimes there's a confusion between center and being double weighted. You don't want to be double weighted, but there's still the center. I'll get into that at a different time. But you have Penglu, Jian, Kailai Zhukao. And again, I apologize in my ignorance if I am slaughtering the pronunciations of those with that. Peng meaning ward off, Liu Lu meaning roll back, Ji press or squeeze, on push. We have K pull down, lie splitting, Zhu elbow, kao literally shoulder but also kind of bump or whole body. So those are the 8. With that, creating the 13 sort of original foundations for Taijiquan. Right, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much for your, I don't know if patronage is quite the right word for it, but I appreciate the watching, and I hope this helps. And I'll get more specific on things as time goes on, so keep a lookout for those. And